Greetings, my fellow students, and welcome. I'm Maham, a senior medical student and instructor, and today we will be tackling the typical vertebrae. So what I'm going to give you today will be a simplified overview of what a typical vertebra consists of. Let's start. Here you can see I have drawn the vertebrae for you. Here we have a typical cervical vertebrae, a typical thoracic vertebrae, and a typical lumbar vertebrae. So let's start with looking at the vertebrae. We have the corpus. Oh, this does not look like a corpus. Wait a second. So we have a corpus and an arch, right? And as you can see, it looks like an arch. To be more specific, each part of this arch has a name. I'll start with the corpus because that's easy. We have this part, the feet of the arch. You can call it the feet of the arch, you can also call it the root. Root in Latin is radix, and feet is pediculus. So this part is called pediculus. You can also call it radix. And just so we won't get confused, this is this part, corpus. I'll write it for you. Corpus vertebrae. Vertebrae. So we have pediculus and we have corpus. Now this arch, as you can see, it goes around and they will connect to each other, and it does that by these thin plates. So like a thin plate here and a thin plate here, and as you can see, ta-da! Now we have an arch. These thin plates are called lamina, because lamina means thin plate. Lamina. Okay? So we have the arch now that consists of a pediculus and lamina. You can also say radix. Pediculus, radix, doesn't matter. So this is basically the pediculus, lamina. Pediculus, lamina. Okay? And then we have the full arch. And as we can see, the arch also has these bones that are sticking out, and the bone that is sticking out towards the back is the spine, so processus spinosus. And I'll draw it here. So this is the part that's sticking out. Processus spinosus. In the part where pediculus and lamina they meet, from these two, like in this point, we have another processus that sticks out towards the side, and that's transverse. So processus transversus, because it sticks out in a transverse plane. And transverse plane, that's horizontal, so it will look like this, right? So I will just be moving this. It will look like this. And of course we have one in both sides, like this, okay? This is processus transversus. As you can see, we have our corpus, our arcus, that's made by having these pediculus, and then lamina, and the part where the two lamina meets, they make a bony protrusion towards the back that makes our processus spinosus, and two bones sticking out sideways, processus transversus. Now we also have this in the middle, and this is a hole. This is actually the vertebral canal which our spinal cord goes through. What is this called, this hole? It's called foramen vertebralis. I'll write it for you. Here. Foramen vertebralis. And as you can hear from the name vertebralis, I mean, we don't have to guess, right? It makes sense. Vertebralis, it's something to do with the vertebra. But what about foramen? What does that mean? And foramen means a hole. So this is basically the hole in the vertebra. So yeah, this is our vertebra and the structures from a superior view. I will draw one from a lateral view also, so we can see how it looks like. Always make sure you know what directions you are drawing in. So this is anterior, so this is anterior, and this will be posterior. There. Okay, so these are the directions. So we'll start with the easiest part, and that's the corpus vertebra. So it looks like this from the side, okay? Towards the back, what did we have? Yeah, we had processus spinosus. And the way it's connected from the sideways is you will see a notch. A notch is, this going downwards. And then it will just, we have this. And we have a notch here too. And here you see our corpus vertebra. And here we will have our processus spinosus. So corpus vertebra, processus spinosus. So front, back. Now towards this side, what did we have? Yes, we had our processus transversus. And it looks like this. So this is our processus transversus. I will write it here. Processus transversus. And as you can see from the lateral view, we can see different things. I didn't write lateral, let me just write it here. I'll just write it here. L-A-T, this is lateral, okay? So we have the corpus, we have processus spinosus and processus transversus. And as you can see, there is a notch. These notches also have their own names. A notch in Latin is called incisura. This notch, this is an incisura that is superior to this one. Superior, inferior, because this is above, this is below. And they are called incisura vertebralis. A notch in the vertebra, as you can see. This is the superior one, as I said before, and this is the inferior, so maybe you can guess what we should call it. Yeah, this will be superior. So this is called incisura vertebralis superior. Now what do you think we should call this notch then? If this is the incisura vertebralis superior, then this should be incisura. So the notch in vertebralis, incisura vertebralis, inferior. I hope it makes sense to you. Tell me if it makes sense, okay? So we have the incisura vertebralis superior, incisura vertebralis inferior. This is basically it. These are basically the structures you would be seeing, and I have simplified it for you. If you will allow me to draw just a few more structures, then would you allow me? I hope you did. So when you will see a vertebra, I'll just remove this one here, and this one we'll just put here. When you see a vertebra from the lateral view, you'll also see, so you have this, a process here and a process here. You'll also see a process here actually, like this. And a process here. What I'm trying to say is that we have, from a side view, you will be able to see processus spinosus posteriorly. We have processus transversus at the sides, and we also have a processus superior and a processus that's inferior. So these processus will connect with the adjacent vertebrae. So for this one, it will be like, again, we have our corpus, incisura vertebralis superior, incisura notch vertebralis inferior, superior, inferior. And then we have this again, this processus that's towards the top, processus transversus towards the side, and a processus inferior, and processus spinosus. As you can see, these two connect, right? This one here and here, they make a joint with the adjacent vertebrae, and joints are called articulatio. So this processus will make an articulation, it will make a joint with another. Thus we call it processus articulis. Does it make sense? So here, processus articularis. This is a processus that will articulate. And where is it located? Because we have two of them. We have one here and here. This is the superior one. Thus, it's called processus articularis superior. Superior. Does it make sense? And the lower one, will be processus articularis inferior. Because this is the processus that's inferior. And as you can see, this is the joint that's been made between these two vertebrae. One last thing. So these processes, these protruding bones, they have a flat surface. As you can see, it's flat here, and these are the surfaces that makes the joint. And a flat surface in Latin is called facies. So I'll try and highlight the surface. Okay. So we have processus, the protruding part, and then we have this flat surface here, and we also have a flat surface here. So this flat surface and this flat surface, they meet. Now, as I told you, the flat surface is called facies, and you spell it like this. Facies. Okay? This is how you say facies, which means flat surface. And what does this flat surface do? It's for articulation. This is where the joint comes, right? So this will be the facies articularis. Facies articularis superior. Because you guessed it, it's superior, and this one is inferior. Thus this one will be called facies articularis inferior. I hope it makes sense for you. The difference between a processus and a facies is that processus is basically a protruding bone, and facies is a flat surface. This whole part is a protruding bone, like this is also protruding, but these, the blue marked lines, are flat. They're not round, they're more flat, so that they can make a joint, they can articulate. Facies articularis. Superior, inferior, superior, inferior. As you can see in this lower vertebrae, its facies articularis superior will make a joint with the facies articularis inferior with the above vertebrae. So these are basically the structures. I kind of want to go through it one more time with you. So we'll be looking at the vertebrae again with all the structures. Here we have the corpus with our pediculus, and then we have those thin plates that make up our arch, our lamina. So pediculus, lamina, and here the posterior side we have processus spinosus, and here laterally, lateral means side, we have processus transversus. And we have here foramen vertebrale, and then we have the side view. We have corpus, we have processus transversus, we have incisura vertebralis superior, we have processus articularis superior, then we have incisura vertebralis inferior, and processus articularis inferior, and here processus spinosus. This would be the anterior, and this is posterior. And here from a superior view, it will be anterior here at the front, and posterior here towards the back. And let's not forget the flat surfaces on our processus articularis superior and inferior. This was fascius articularis superior, fascius articularis inferior. So now I have the structures and with all the names. I hope you're not feeling too overwhelmed with it. I mean, if you are, then just take a break. You can pause the video and just go through them one by one. I hope it makes sense, okay? If it doesn't make sense, then say so. It already feels like it's a lot, right? So the reason I've drawn this is to show you how it looks like. A lateral view. From the superior view, we have the structures I had mentioned beforehand, but I didn't mention this, and now I want to tell you how it looks like from a superior view. Since this is a superior, we will not be able to see our processus articularis inferior, nor will we be able to see those notches. But yeah, so our processus articularis superior, it'll look like this. And this. So these are processus articularis superior, that's sticking upwards. And what do we have in these? We have this flat surface. We have our fascius. I'm trying to highlight the fascius. Here we have the processus articularis superior, and the highlighted blue will be the flat surface, the fascius articularis superior. I put it here. So fascius articularis superior, and we have the processus articularis superior. Okay. So I've written it down now. I hope this makes sense to you, and I hope you now feel more ready to dive into the vertebral column. Thank you for listening, and yeah, I hope we'll see you again. Bye!